Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Radiant Black Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about Radiant Black and all things Massiveverse. Today, in particular, we're going to be talking about the Dead Lucky number 9. I'm your host, Bash, and I'm joined by my friends and my fellow hosts, Charlie, Matt, and Firefly/Addy. You always put your name Firefly, and I get
Yeah,
confused. So,
that's
so I'm
just
going to
that's just
call you
how it
as
is on
it.
StreamYard. Yeah, I should probably change it, but yeah, I'm doing well. It's exciting to be back on the pod. It's been a while, so hopefully, the like number 9 is the first step, and things start get going again. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm doing well here too. Good to have you back on here. Talking Dead Lucky. Kind of not gonna lie, going through this issue. I know it's not confirmed, but just thinking about the end of the series kind of got me a little bummed. Thinking about this, just been loving it so much. So yeah, I guess we'll hear more about that. But yeah, I can't wait to dive into this one. How are you doing, Matt?
Good. It's been a wild day. I'm never taking a nap after drinking a French vanilla again. Got some wild dreams, like near death experience, the whole 9 yards. It was wild. So, keeping it real. We got dead lucky. It feels like these are like the least amount of Massiveverse titles we've gotten in a long time, right? It's just been the push for Infernal Girl Red's Kickstarter, which was funded, which is fantastic. And now we get dead lucky to hold us over before this Catalyst war continues. So, yeah, dead lucky's been pretty good, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to chat Dead Lucky with all the guys. It feels good because I feel like we've talked about this before, but there's been a Massiveverse drought. Just a break, trying to shine some light on Inferno Go Red, and like Matt said, it was funded. So congratulations to everyone. Congratulations to the community. Pat yourself on the back. Everyone came together in such an amazing way. It was nice to see. And without further ado, let's dive into the issue. I'll give you the creative team, and we'll talk about it. So the creative team in this issue, as usual, we've got writer and co-creator Melissa Flores. We've got artist and I think co-creator, yes, French Carlo Magdo, and then colorist Mattia Iacono, letterer, of course, Becca Carey, and editor Michael Basuto. And I have the cover by the amazing Rod Rice.
Yeah.
Gorgeous cover.
Yeah. Kind of is this? It might be my favorite cover in the series or one of them. It's freaking
Yeah, it's up
amazing.
there.
It was super excited to get into this issue for sure.
I like that. There's another one they revealed. It might be like issue 11 or 12, like that recently online. That I think is my favorite Dead Lucky cover. We'll get to it, I guess, in a couple weeks. But
I
yeah,
don't know if I've seen that one yet. Okay.
it's popping. Not to shame this one because this one's friggin' dynamic as hell. Like I really dig it. Rice has a really cool style.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we start the issue again with another flashback, and it's particularly interesting. Like last issue, we end up, we end the issue with someone laying in a tub of power drugs and shit. And this issue we start with a flashback. So I'm just saying, is this one long strange trip or or with what's his name, Pyre in the desert? And we get the extended part of his origin this time. So last time we saw how the helicopter exploded and how the chemicals basically got into them and what might have triggered the development of those powers. And this time we see that he survives the crash, even though he has some severe burns on his skin. Looks like some second or even third degree burns. He crawls out of the desert. Very epic moment. Hands just coming out of the sand like that. And that's where he's, of course, gunned down by some military. I don't even know if they're mercenaries or military. I'm just gonna assume they're military. He's just gunned down by some guys who panic at the sight of him. Honestly, it is pretty creepy. What do you guys think of this?
Yeah, they weren't much help there. Kind of just what the like they could have helped the guy, but no, right away, what the hell is that? Just start laying fire to this thing. But do you guys think like just him being cooked in the sun for that long, like could this be what gave him the fire powers, or like was it more from the explosion? Do you guys think, or I don't,
I'll
or
I'll go from the explosion. I think if the sun
yeah,
did anything, it probably cooked his brain. That's right.
yeah.
That's probably why he's going
made him
kind of
made him
nuts now.
bulletproof, baby. He's bulletproof apparently.
Yeah, I agree with Ali on that one because we learned later on. Like I was getting X-Men 2 flashbacks on how he activates his power. He just needs like the flint, or he just needs like
Right.
some
Yeah.
spark.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
feel like the bullets, I guess, are what led to that spark, the gunpowder or something. There's some kind of incendiariness to it. So yeah, basically that's my take.
Yeah, that's cool. And I like here. I thought this was super interesting too, as like right when he burns them, him just saying like no, no, like him kind of like freaking out to himself. So I know we had a lot of questions last issue, or I did personally, kind of like what this kind of disaster did to him. Kind of, did it take his soul? Is that still him? Is it a different person? Is he possessed? Like it's kind of all up in the air. But him just regretting that choice definitely puts up a lot of questions. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
My thoughts are constrained to the next page when we get the intro with Gigi or Georgia, because this just clicked for me as I was looking at the page over again. Like, I do find her face looks very similar to Bibi, and plus Georgia is shortened to Gigi oftentimes. So he left Bibi for Gigi, and I don't think he ever got over her and just tried to do that. So I hopefully not ruining Georgia for everybody, but yeah, that's just my non sequitur.
I love that. No, that's great. And this issue, I don't know about you guys, but really made me love this character. I know
Georgia?
later on, Georgia in particular, just really made me come like on the whole, as like I wasn't really in on the character, but yeah, absolutely loving her now.
Pretty sure this is like the most, I guess, screen time or speech she's had in any single issue so far. It definitely gets helps us get to know her better. We'll get to it, but she has one of my favorite lines. Like,
yeah,
not in this book, but the whole Massiveverse so far.
Yeah,
yeah.
She's really badass. Has a strong character moments, and we talked about this earlier. But I think that's the strength of the series is like not so much the sci-fi, even though it does that well, or like the futuristic city and all the the autocratic rise of AI stuff. I think the strength is of the characters and their internal dramas, their relationships. We've seen Bibi has a lot of complicated relationships with different friends. And I really find this particular friendship intriguing because, there's no like sexual like tension or anything there. This is like a pure friendship where they're brought together by someone else that they both love. And we'll see more of that later.
All the tension was taken between her and Eddie at that point. But yeah, no, it's true. It is a nice actual friendship, and we'll get to the speech later. But I think like Ali's right. George's character got the best development she's gotten so far.
Yeah. And she told off what's her name, Maria. Like it's like fuck your coffee.
I love how she didn't even take a sip. She threw that whole coffee out. She didn't take a single sip.
It was very badass. Like it was like I don't know, like this whole scene reminded me of like if you guys have ever seen the TV show House of Cards. Like there's a lot of character moments that are very similar to this, where like someone has like a very badass moment. They show you like, oh, their morality is actually in the right place, and just the whole like sunglasses meeting at like a discreet location, trying to be like all nonchalant. Like I love this whole like page. Honestly, really cool.
I do feel bad for Maria though for what's coming, because I mean, obviously, I don't know if her and Bibi were like, I don't think they were officially like an item, but I mean, there's definitely going to be some feelings trampled on if the Pyre stuff continues.
Yeah. And also, before going ahead, can't skip over our boy Max Sands. Makes an appearance quickly again in the first page here, just trying to get some soups on Bibi as always. Just trying to get up in the ranks, But yeah, it is nice to see that common name all the time. Kind of the most famous reporter in the Massiveverse.
He's definitely the most infamous.
For sure.
Sure.
That's probably more appropriate, I would say. But
Hardcastle or whatever, Alicia Hardcastle, I think, the one that did the Radiant Red stuff. I think she's the most efficient journalist we've seen, like the best. If we're gonna do
we have Julia Page too. Don't forget. Don't forget about Julia Page and her mom.
Oh,
that's
true.
That's true. We got
a lot of reporters.
A roster of reporters out in the Massiveverse now.
Massiveverse reporter tier list coming next step. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Ryan, where's the Rogue Sun's reporter at large? That's what we need. Rogue Sun's the only one without one.
Watch him give us like a supernatural like reporter from another realm, just like a flying quill or something like in Shazam.
You never know. They have the quill. The doorman could have been a journalist.
Oh yeah, that's true. But yeah, we were bouncing constantly between two different places in the story. Obviously, the first is we're seeing what's going on in Morrow behind the scenes with some certain characters as they're navigating the Bibi situation, Bibi being missing by all accounts. And, some parties are informed because as we find out later, there's a leak, right? Someone leaks her position and nobody really knows like who. And it's I think the most interesting part of this issue, one of the most interesting parts of this issue, is seeing how everybody in the company responds to the leak. It's just like everybody has their own opinion on like how they feel about. Oh, it's like maybe whatever. It's more of a nuisance to actually like do something about it. Like, figure out. So that was interesting. But I do want to point to this page where she's sitting with Pyre somewhere in Jordan, and she's looking at the ghost and asking him, like, who are you? Then who the hell are you? What the hell are you? Sorry. And that's where Pyre actually replies. So you talking to me? So I found that particularly interesting. But yeah, this is where he reveals the more that he like his gloves are lined with flint and he just needs a spark. Very cool development. I like the whip, like the little whip aesthetic, like the fact that it's like very Ghost Rider-y, right?
Yeah, and I like, but all I need is a spark. Consider an upgrade, like, and maybe like I don't know if he's really planning on working with Bibi or he's more loyal to himself or whoever else. But all I need is a spark, which kind of works because that's really all he needed to get him back with Bibi, right? Because they've got the romantic history; they weren't just friends or whatever. Like they've got that, so that's kind of his into. We've seen that's kind of Bibi's weakness is her connection to others, and when things get really intense, like it kind of changes her judgment a little bit, or might get in the way of her missions when she's usually really really good with those kind of things.
I don't know if this is intentional, but when you said spark and Bibi, it clicked in my head. Like she's the spark that starts his flames.
Yeah, right. That's another thing too. That's it. I didn't read it that way. I was thinking more of like her powers electricity, but no, that's a good point too. Like there's more to that, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What did you guys think of that moment where she looks at him and she's like, "What did Shift say?" And he's like, "Don't know what you did to that dude in San Francisco, but he sure as hell has a soft spot for you."
Yeah.
So it's just like, what do you guys think of that little exchange? Shift seems like has a little bit more than just respect for Bibi.
Yeah. Well, he's about to be arrested soon. He's got the post office on his ass. He's not gonna last too long.
So you're saying he's not gonna teleport into those DMs? Is that what you're saying?
There's still a few issues left, but when she says like that's not the compliment you think it is, I don't think it was a compliment. He's like, I don't know. He just doesn't know this. He's like, I don't know what you did with this Shift, dude. But
yeah. No, I remember in that issue too. Definitely got the vibe that like he had that respect for her, like just like the command and the leadership she took. So yeah, I just love that. Definitely coming back and just kind of hearing it from him is kind of cool for sure. And yeah, just kind of also just hearing like learning that he's not really with Shift that much. Like it seems like Shift is more so just kind of using him as a piece as well. So I thought that was a kind of cool aspect too.
Good point.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to point out is like I've made the comparison of like what's her name? Is it Kane? Yeah, I've made the comparison of Kane to Wesker from Resident Evil. And I just want to say, like, this fucking scene where Kane just walks up to the camera and just like looks at dead face, and that's like very Wesker of her. So I love that scene, and the reaction by Bibi is just perfection. Like I actually laughed out loud when I was reading it. She was just like, "God damn it, I hate that bitch." And it is just like, yeah, you know what I mean? We need more of that rivalry, right? Like this reminds me so much. Like this rivalry between Bibi and Kane could be like a Terminator rivalry where it's like he's fighting one of the other Terminators. Like it could be like one of those really fun rivalries where they just constantly try to fuck each other up every time. I want to see more of that. Like I keep saying, like we've seen Kane make threats, right? We've seen Valentine make threats. But I want to see these ladies like put down some punches. You know what I mean?
Like, see them in action at least. Yeah, you gotta see them in action for sure. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And hopefully we see that. But I don't know, kind of now and not skipping too much. I think we're gonna see a lot of mechs kind of down the line. But yeah, we'll talk more about that. But yeah, I also this part here really like after they start kicking ass and just kind of them having their two heads together. That was kind of I don't know, an unsettling moment in a way for Bibi. Like I was kind of like scared of what like him literally saying I can make them burn and just like kind of the fire and destruction around definitely had me a little concerned. I don't know about you guys, but
no, it's worrisome, right? Like Pyre, he's died and come back, right? He's got no faith in the system, whereas Bibi feels like she can like work within it at least to like maybe improve it, and like there is some kind of order. With Pyre, they could burn it all down, right? Like there is definitely that element.
Yeah,
and it's got to be tempting too, right? It's like your complicated friend from way back in the times that he's back. Like, it's definitely difficult. And I had my doubts for a second. I was like, oh shit, they're gonna go back to San Francisco and like burn Morrow down, but clearly that's not what ends up happening.
And not that it needed to, but his mask is growing on me too. Like I really like the fire. It's faceless and stuff like that, but it's all it really needs to be for Pyre. Like I dig it.
Yeah, I like the little like tinges of flames that come out, that emanate from it. Yeah, they look very
Yeah.
cool. I do want to say like this page where they're like head to head is really cool because it gives you that feeling of like, oh, they're channeling back to some of the hard times they experienced as a crew, right? Like as a military crew working together. But at the same time, it's like a lot of this isn't necessarily different. It's like a different time, different place, different enemy, but they're still fighting, right? They're still fighting. And I think it's really interesting that well, not too big a spoiler, but like later we'll see that there's another conflict between these two. But I thought like here, this gives me the idea that it could potentially be a diversion, just because like they really did. It feels like this is an earnest makeup. Like they, he's speaking to her desires. Like she does have a desire to want to burn Morrow down, albeit she wants to do it in more ethical ways. Like not completely just go batshit crazy. But I think yeah, like there's something here, and I'm curious to see where it goes. But of course, the next page we bounce back tomorrow, and here there's some interesting things happen. Obviously, we're back with Valentine and Maria. Maria is telling her, she's trying to find out who leaked the story, and that's when Valentine says we're investigating that. And then you notice that some Morrow scientists in the back are having some trouble with the machines. So they notice that there's doing things that they're not necessarily like commanding them to do, and that's where you realize there's something wrong with the artificial intelligence of the machine, or you suspect it, and then it's confirmed later. So what do you guys? This obviously seems like one of those moments in a story where it's like it's going to come back down later to be an important plot point. It does in this issue later on, but I think there's more to it. What did you think of this?
Yeah, it was cool. Like right away off the bat, it was kind of I noticed that it was like only the Morrow bot, in a way, so that's kind of something to note. So someone's
Oh,
hacking
interesting.
like through Morrow specifically, like it doesn't, and obviously kind of a little spoiler later on. I don't know if like BB's robots can be hacked. I'm not sure if they were. So I think that's kind of a cool point. But yeah, I think I can suspect who's hacking these things, but it's definitely a cool mystery coming up, and can't wait to see some just mech
I
action.
think I think it's related to what happens at the end. If you don't mind me
100%.
jumping.
I mean, we may
with
as
the
well,
AID.
right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go for
it's.
it.
I think that whole sequence at the end where the AID, artificial intelligence destruction, something like that. Whenever that went online, I think that was calling back to this.
Okay.
Moment.
So, light bulb moment. Do you think that the person who leaked it is Jimmy Moss? And do you think
Yes.
he's using newly integrated powers to override the AI systems to make them lethal?
Yeah, I got my money on
And
Moss.
I think he's the person hacking all the bots, and I think we're gonna have Jimmy Moss versus BB mech battle at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Because
That's
BB's
That'd be amazing.
BB's
most
bots
likely.
aren't. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say that I think that that's probably the most likely theory. I was thinking Stoker has something to do with it. I know Stoker is like it relates to like flaming and like stoking
Yeah,
flames
we
and
still,
stuff.
still
But
don't know much about him, which is cool.
right, like he
Yeah.
was introduced again right after the hacking started and in the fight, and I didn't even really see him get knocked out in the fight. Like, oh, Stoker's down. Like I didn't see him get hit in the fight. So maybe he could be involved, or like a man that Jimmy Moss is hiring. But like, yeah, I definitely think that him getting bathed in the tech goop or whatever would give him the ability to maybe override the bots and stuff. Anyways, continue, Wally.
I just wanted to ask. I don't think BB's bots are AI, right? Like she controls them with her powers, but it's not
Yes.
like
Yeah,
they're automated
that's-
like regular
yeah.
Marvel bots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
why
he
I-
can't hack them. Yeah.
Yeah. Good
This
point.
next page where like BB's finally back at Morrow headquarters and she's like looking out the window and they're like BB, that gave me like such Danny Rand flashbacks of like when he first comes back.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, Danny Rand, Danny, it's so
Yeah.
good to see you. Fuck you. It's just like that's like they're all. I mean, like Gigi, as Matt called her, was definitely happy to see
Yeah.
BB, and BB even looks a bit shook, like what the fuck, like she's getting hugged.
That hug really hits different later too, like hearing that line like later on and hearing that meaning, like just seeing that relief and kind of just that she's safe is it was nice to see for sure. And yeah, BB just kind of out of breath there. I love the facial expression on like just that hug. We've all gotten one of those big hugs from a relative or something, like any someone that's kind of just choked you up. So yeah, kind of that was great there.
See, after what's her name? Not Valentine. Yeah, Valentine. After Valentine starts briefing or debriefing BB, I'm starting to think like, how much does Valentine really know?
Mm.
Like,
Because she's
yeah,
asking like, "Where's Kane?" Right?
Yeah.
yeah, and even like she might be saying, yeah, it's classified, but it's also making me think like how far up the command chain she is, that how much she really knows about what's going on. Like, does she really know that Kane took the power goo tomorrow and now he's using it? I don't think Kane is that deep in the chain of command that she knows that kind of stuff. Not Kane, Valentine, sorry.
Some void rival shit right here, bro. Argorians versus Zertonians. Well, there's one moment in the latest issue where the guy was like, "Ha ha ha! You backstabbed me, and look where it got you." And he just like laughs his ass off, and I'm like, "This is so good." Like, I pay money to see this shit on TV. So like, this is so good. But yeah, no, this is. I love the office like politics drama that's happening here because yeah, everyone's tense. You have all these like really powerful ladies, and they're all just like starting to doubt one another. They don't even know what the fuck's going. I don't even know what the fuck's going because I don't know if like Valentine's telling the truth or not. I'm with Ali. I'm like, what are her motives here? Like, is she a good
Yeah.
employee? Is she just like, does she have her own like agenda? But it seems
Mm.
like I don't know. It seems like she just like is actually glad to see Bibi because according to her, it'd be more of a headache. So then what did she say? She says, yeah, you failed your contracted mission, and for all we know, you could be compromised, right? So that's so that's where they tell her we need to know what happened to help you. And then she says there's too many people trying to help me. So that's where we go back to the front of outside where San Francisco, and we're seeing Pyre and Stoker have made their way. They're already back, and they actually addressed that one thing that we were talking about in previous episodes and a little bit we touched upon earlier, which is, back then when Shift was there with the boys, they kind of just abandoned them. And this is where Pyre is saying, like, you saw what happened last time we walked away. Like, it just things just, he says, and you remember what happened the last time we walked away. So he's just like, it seems like he's much more invested in what happens this time around. So I think moving forward, I think Pyre is 100% going to make a big move. Like he seems like he's fully invested in what's happening here.
Yeah. Am I wrong in saying that Stoker doesn't get taken down though? Because I don't see the part where he
No.
does.
I don't see either. Last thing we see him, I think he just does like a kick.
So it could be a
Yeah.
manipulation deal where the bots look like this, so Bibi trusts Pyre even more, and then Pyre can kind of like manipulate her because Dead Lucky is the biggest thorn in the side of Morrow. Basically, she might work for them, but if the bots and everything and like what she represents is so powerful that they got to find a way to take her down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bibi's getting bullied over like the fact that Pyre. Well, now that Morrow's basically informed Pyre's alive, and they're giving her shit about whether like her past is coming back to haunt her, right? They're like, oh, so your dead ex-boyfriend is now suddenly alive. And then she says, he was never my ex. We were friends. It was complicated. And one of my favorite lines where Gigi hits her with the, you're complicated with a lot of your friends, but this one is also a trained killer and a little insane. It's just like, you're complicated with a lot of your friends. I love it. She just gave it to her. But yeah, so this is the big moment that you were saying, you guys were talking about. She was saying, I know it's been a lot, blah, 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 but she said, that's what I like about you. And then she says, Georgia says to Bibi, it's why I could never get mad at Eddie when he would drop everything to spend hours in that stinky garage building. You a robot. It's why I helped him design the suit. And Bibi's like, why don't you hate me? And she said, I almost did, but it felt wrong to hate the person that Eddie loved enough to die for. And she said, there's enough hate in your heart for the both of us, Bibi. Enough damage and hurt. I'd rather honor Eddie by loving you instead. And I'll do whatever I need to protect you. Bibi's already pretty shook, and she's just like, whoa, emotionally taken away by that. Yeah.
How much of a wordsmith is Gigi, where she can basically say you get around a lot and you have a lot of hate in your heart, and still get her to cry and be like, "Oh, I do," you know what I mean? But like, it was, I'm joking, but it was super nice, and like, you can see how Georgia and Eddie ended up together because they both have like a ton of heart that's just like pouring out of them. With like, no one's you're like, what are you running for Jesus? Like, I love you. I can see that like your spouse cared about someone else so much of the opposite sex or someone that they're formerly with. And you're not only cool with that, like, I'll honor in your death, I'll do what I can to make sure that you're okay. Because if he cared about you that much, you're good people.
Right, like mad respect for Georgia for that, honestly. And to go back to what you were saying, Matt, how like she started off by saying one thing and ended up with that. She's a PR person. She knows how to speak and how to like flip things. That's literally her job.
True.
Yeah, no, that's true. Even it was a couple issues ago. They're even talking about how she's getting like super good at just spitting that Morrow bullshit.
Right.
That's what BB was saying. So yeah, that could be. But yeah, no, that was just an amazing line, and I almost joined BB there, just tearing up as reading reading this. But no, it hit heavy for sure, and yeah, really just. I didn't really care about this character much before this, but now it's just kind of like, yeah, it solidifies her as one of the mainstays of this series for sure, which is great.
And this is like our A force of the Massiveverse, really. Realistically, if you look at it, Bibi, Georgia, and Maria, like it's basically, they're like a lethal team,
Yeah.
and it's just normal that they're just all women who care about this so much. So I think that's really well handed that you just have like a bevy of badass female characters, and still keeps it rolling.
Yeah, and I think the page where, well, obviously Winston gives him an update saying like, yeah, like your crazy ex is here. He's hacked into one of the robots. I'd be impressed. Or she's like, the anarchist in me is impressed. At that page where you see Pyre going to town on the robots with Stoker, like giving one of them like a little chop, and then you see him do the timber thing with the flaming whip. I really like first of all, the colors on this page are absolutely glorious. So Mattia Iacona doing another like amazing, wonderful job with the colors. Every issue just giving his all. But that one panel where you see like through the robot's point of view, and you see like it's like red fading out, just as if it's like going unconscious or losing control of the system. That was fucking incredible. Really love that one page. Illustrate the the visceral nature of the scene and how much damage Pyre is doing. And I just want to say, like, Pyre is on fire. Like literally, like he's just like Pyre unleashed here. They took off the leash and they were like, just go all out. Love it.
Yeah. Also, real quick, just wanted to point out, Bibi before she actually goes to that scene, like just that quick suit up montage, like her still with the full suit on, that with the helmet, that looks super badass.
So badass.
It was Miss Lucky, like the Mr. Knight kind of get up. It's good. It's pretty cool.
No, that's
pretty cool.
And I actually totally I forgot about this, kind of rereading through the series earlier, is that like the skull was George's idea, like in creating the costume. So yeah, that's
right, yeah, she did.
Just kind of puts more just things that make her an awesome character. But yeah,
it's almost their child. Like the Dead Lucky's almost like the love child of like all the soldiers, Georgia, Eddie, and Bibi. Like so many people came together to make this, and that's why I think part of the reason why it's the Dead Lucky. It's not just kind of like one. Like Bibi obviously wears the mantle, but so many things have to come together for such a force to overthrow Morrow and continue on. So I think that's really cool.
For sure.
Yeah. Love the page with all the bots assembling together, like Bibi coming, crashing onto the scene. Pyre hitting her with you came in a tank, not exactly a fair fight. It's just like, just chaos on the scene. And well, that's where she tells him, this isn't the right way. He says, you and I can agree to disagree. I'm still like not 100% convinced that this is not a diversion of sorts. Like as far as I understand the situation is that Bibi and Pyre's motives are aligned. So I don't see why they would suddenly go from making up to fighting. I think there's a plan that they are doing in secret. I'm hoping there's a plan they're doing in secret. Otherwise, this is very sudden turn. And I think we'll see it come into play in the next issue. Who knows? But I really do like the next scene where we see the Marabots basically, like you guys said, the AID protocol confirmed, which is access. What is it called? Access.
It's the A protocol.
Artificial Intelligence Destruction Protocol. So basically, they are now authorized to use lethal force, and we end the issue with Bibi and Pyre back to back, surrounded by Marabots. Next title of the next issue is "The Fun Never Stops." Love it. So I'm just curious. Like, obviously, there were a lot of twists and turns this issue. What do you guys think? Is this a diversion, or is Pyre suddenly turned, and now that their backs are pressed against the wall or against each other, they have to work together? What do you guys think is happening?
I think it could be a diversion, because what you said about Pyre just a few minutes ago, like that is really abrupt for him. Like, all right, let's talk, and I'm gonna go and just like take out these bots in the street. Like you'd be way more stealth about it, right? It seems too much like a distraction. What about you guys?
Yeah. Also, I think to note, it's kind of interesting that like we didn't really see the conversation they had, like after they talked about destroying the robots, and then they just appear in New York. So we don't really see their conversation of, okay, I'm gonna do this, kind of what their goals are. I'm kind of starting to think this guy is just straight up a Morrow hater, and he just genuinely hates them and wants to take them down. But I don't know. It made me really curious just at first, like him burning all those people and yelling no to himself. I'm wondering if he's in full control or not, or like if he's fighting something. I have no idea, but I love where it's going.
I think that what Bashamet said has some legs. I think they are still working together, as in Dead Lucky Empire. But at the same time, I think the bots turning on them is Morrow or Jimmy Moss trying to show the public that Dead Lucky is working with the terrorist pyres to change public perception. That's where I'm going. But the one thing I can't figure out is what the hell happened to Stoker. He just vanished.
Maybe he's Jimmy Moss. I don't know.
He never spoke.
Yeah.
He never spoke. He never
spoke,
took off his mask. He
That's
very well
true.
could be.
Maybe Daft Punk's reuniting. There's a lot of possibilities out there, but no, I think that's interesting. We didn't see him talk. It could have easily been Jimmy Moss with the helmet. That's true.
We got to see it next
That'd be
issue, right? Because we haven't seen him since
Yeah,
the
I don't
bathtub.
know.
Yeah,
I'm happy we
suspiciously
finally
absent.
got a name. Stoker, I meant for
Yes.
Stoker. Sorry,
Right,
I'm
for
happy we
Stoker.
finally
Yes,
got a name.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Also,
for
if you
sure.
just look up pyre in the dictionary, it's a heap of combustible metal, especially one of a burning corpse as part of a funeral ceremony. So I like the idea of him just maybe
That's
he
awesome.
just straight up is dead. Like he did die. There's some interesting elements that it'd be cool if he was undead.
I
Like,
mean-
and the mystery continues as to whether the spirit that Bibi's talking to is him, and maybe both are true. Maybe this is him
Yeah.
come back to life and the spirit exists. The two split when he died, and somehow he was reincarnated and recharged like a robot. The memories are still there. Who even not like an actual robot, but you know what I mean. Like it's interesting. There's a lot on the table for that, and I think the pyre element has been one of my favorite elements of Dead Lucky period, and I think it's been pretty cool.
I like
Yeah,
that, especially
Pyre-
with all
big
the
character.
zombie imagery in the beginning.
So is it
Exactly.
safe to say that like Pyre is the best character out of Dead Lucky that's not Dead Lucky?
Yeah. I think that's pretty safe to say.
George
I think
is
at this
gaining on him.
point, yeah, George is gaining on him.
Maybe Kane, but we just haven't seen enough of Kane. Like
Yeah,
really in action.
that's probably
you know?
the second biggest character might be Garcia Lopez, maybe, but
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So many good characters, but yeah, no, it's awesome having a villain kind of at the top too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Not
I
really
just
a
feel like
villain.
with the way his story evolved, like we see him as a super background character in one of the ghosts, then we see him come back, we learn his motives. I
Yeah.
feel like there's been so much happening with Pyre. It's really
Yes.
interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
and I gave zero. Like I did. Yeah, just first seeing him, we were like, okay, or I was like, oh yeah, he's one of Shift's goons. But yeah,
Yeah.
just seeing that development is super cool. Right
And-
at the top, and yeah, can't wait to see them mess up a bunch of robots for sure. That's gonna be
And the
awesome.
connection with Bibi too, like, explains why Bibi would trust him more. It's like, okay, they had a very intimate relationship, and also like she feels responsible for his death. So there's like so much reason for her to be like, all right, I got to give this guy
Yeah.
a chance.
That's true.
So what you're saying is BB is the Inferno to his Ignite. I mean, I'm just saying, right?
Yeah,
She's the
yeah.
spark to that fire. A little
Might
bit,
be onto
you know?
something.
You know?
I do love that. Like, if you look at the last three covers, I guess not including this one, the last two covers, Dead Lucky 7 and 8. I like that he's been a focal point of both covers. And then if you look at the last like 4 issues, he's been a big part of that. I really am enjoying him as a character. Like, I feel like I'm really impressed by the Massiveverse, his ability. All these creators, whether it's like the writers Melissa, Ryan, or Kyle, or Kyle and Brian on No One, like everyone being able to bring in these side characters, and then they become not so much side characters, but actually like over time crucial characters that are important to the story that have been there in the background. Now I'm thinking, which one of the No One characters is this character? Like, which one of those is going to be like the pyre of that story? But that's for a discussion for another time.
Also, it's getting to the point
It's
where I'm
been
going to be a
current.
little disappointed if there's no BB in the Catalyst War, because we have giant ass robots potentially getting taken
Right.
out. Like, come on, it's a war. We have a veteran, and she can take care of over robots. I don't know.
I
She
like
could-
BB being the leader in Supermassive. Like moving forward, like if
it fits
they're
her.
ever like it fits her, yeah. Like she has the experience, she has the mindset, and like everyone else is like children. Even Marshall, even though he's an adult, he's a child. For the most
Especially
part.
Marshall.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially.
So it's like you get someone like BB in there, like you have some leadership, you know, like a good, like a good guide. So I'm curious to see how that role develops, and who knows, like maybe one day, I'm just throwing this out there, like pretty spitballing. Maybe one day, no one will meet the others. Who knows? Not likely, obviously, but who knows?
Never know.
Yeah, I could see that being on the table for sure. And also before we close anything, I want to see It doesn't really show it on the last page, but I was kind of just assuming like when we see Pyre and Deadlucky back to back, I'm assuming like BB's robots are still kind of on her side, like they weren't hacked,
Because
correct?
they, if you look at the on the last page in the first panel, the Marvel bots are still shooting at her mechs.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
it should be an interesting fight.
Yeah, it's gonna be action packed. There hasn't been like a ton of action this run, right? So I think it's gonna be definitely filling that void.
Yeah, and that next cover too features some other cool looking robots that we haven't really seen before, that kind of style. So yeah, we'll probably see some new technology.
So yeah, we've got several things coming up for the Massiveverse. Unfortunately, it's still a weird time in the Massiveverse right now. Lots of delays. One of the newest updates regarding delays is the Radiant Black has been delayed again. It's going to be FOC'd again this week through Lunar. There was some sort of issue before. So it's going to go back on final order cutoff, and then it's now releasing October 25. No One number 6 says it's scheduled for for 2 weeks from now, so October 11th. And then Rogue Sun number 16 is scheduled for October 18th. So next week, we don't have any Massiveverse books, unfortunately. Gives you time to catch up on other books. And of course, please check out our interview with Brian Buccellato. Talked a lot of good things. His book, Midlife #1, or Midlife or How to Hero at 50, #1, is dropping October 11th as well. So same week as the next issue of No One, which is perfect for Brian when you think about it. So we're going to label October 11th Brian Buccellato week. Make sure you pick up the books. Pick up the
If you want
books,
to find
check
out
out the
why it's called
interview.
Midlife, check out the interview. A lot of cool tidbits in there about that and Godzilla. It was really
Godzilla,
really good stuff.
and I'm kind of real quick on that. Speaking about a quick shout out to a fantastic book, Cy Spear's new Flash book. But yeah, I had the first preview I saw of they had the preview of the Godzillaverse Justice League in the back or whatever. So yeah, that was awesome to see a preview.
Was it
of
Daily
that.
Planet stuff or something different? Was it like the scene?
I think it's different ones in different books.
The one I saw was Superman trying to propose to Lois at the top.
That was the IGN
planet.
one.
So and then there's Green Lantern. Barry and Flash are in the.
I say this because I need no
Barry
previews. Like
Watchtower.
Trust me, you're gonna want to pick this up. This sounds like it's gonna be one of the best crossovers in recent years. Like I'm hyped as hell for this. It's the Fall of Godzilla kicks off with Justice League, Godzilla, and Kong. It's gonna be a good time. Don't miss it.
And he said if they do well, we might get more. So know what to do.
It's an awesome concept. Like that's great.
Toho might be a little more lenient. So there's some things that might be coming along the pipeline. Be like, well, why isn't so and so? I'm like, trust me, Brian's fighting for it, and pick up more copies if you want to see it happen. Because Brian, he's a fan. He's a fan. He's got the Kong tattoo, the Flash tattoo. I mean, he's the man for the job. So yeah, check that out. Midlife, it's popping off, and just a fun interview and a great book.
Definitely. So I think that's it for Massiveverse stuff. In terms of Dead Lucky, don't forget that for the next issue of Dead Lucky, there's going to be a Walking Dead variant. So for those of you who are big time fans of the Image, make sure you get the Walking Dead 20th anniversary variant. They're going to be, I can't recall if they were connecting or not, but they look like they're going to connect.
I think they are connecting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
if they tried not to make connecting covers, they screwed up. They connected.
On a side note, Firepower is ending, which is sad. 30 issues. We got 27 come out today. Issue for 28 is on FOC, and there's a Walking Dead variant for that as well. That's really cool, and a Peanut Butter Dreaming variant, which is so cool. So I recommend checking Firepower out if you haven't already, and if you're still reading it, stick with it till the end because we're almost there, and it's been quite a journey. Anyway, it says I know Talking Smack. So shout out to Talking Smack Pod. They did a massive month, which was really cool. Just a month with different weeks of interviews with different Massiveverse creators. Super good stuff. So check that out if you haven't. We retweeted also in our socials. And they talked to Melissa. They talked to Kyle. And in the Kyle interview, there's a lot of really cool things I highly recommend checking out. But they even asked Melissa, but I haven't listened to that interview yet, but they asked Melissa like if it's going to end at 12 issues. So I wonder what she said. I'll check that out and let you guys know. But really sad if it does end in 12 issues. Like Charlie was saying, it's been solid. It's been nice having like a solid Massiveverse book to look forward to that wasn't Radiant Black or Rogue Sun that was very different. But of course, that just means there's more to look forward to. The trade is out, the first trade. Go check that out. And yeah, anything else?
Melissa's dropping Power Rangers books too, so like she's still writing Power Rangers. So
and when's Spider-Gwen coming out too? That's I don't
think
know. When that's
November.
November. So yeah, and I don't know if that's an ongoing or limited, but yeah, I can't
like
wait
4 or
for
5
that,
issues.
Probably limited.
She's got her hands full.
It's
on
like
that,
Spider-Gwen
yeah.
on tour or something like that. It's a cool concept.
Spider-Gwen Smash, I think, something like that.
Something like that. But yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, and I will say if it does indeed end at 12, I hope we can campaign or hopefully eventually we need a Dead Lucky hardcover or something. We need a Radiant Black hardcover first, but like if we could just get all those 12 issues bundled up in a nice hardcover, that'd be beautiful. Cool. So yeah.
Ooh, one last thing. I'm glad you reminded me. New York Comic Con is coming up. 2 things you might want to know if you're interested in going to New York Comic Con. A, there's going to be a Massiveverse meetup in New York around the time of the con. Same way they did it before in Chicago. They're going to do one in New York. If I were in the area, I would definitely go. That just sounds like it's going to be a blast. Make sure you check out Kyle Higgins' newsletter, Reading Black newsletter, Black Market, or Blackmail, something like that. And you can see all the information. And if you're going to New York Comic Con, they're doing enamel pins or something like that. If you've seen the IGR Kickstarter, they're there, but they have all the pins at the Comic Con. So it's like all the Radiants, Dead Lucky, Rogue Sun, all the big characters from the Massiveverse have their pins. They look
perfect for your Crocs and everything.
Yeah, awesome.
I don't know. I don't judge.
Perfect for your backpacks as well. Your shirts, your jackets, everything. I highly recommend checking out the pins. I know a few of us, at least like 3 of us here. Like when we backed IGR, we got the pins.
I didn't.
Like,
I spent a fair share of that, but like I'll see the pins around. The pins are nice. I'm hoping like a set, and I can go around like Gary Oak with my 12 from the region that don't exist. No, they look quality. They look man.
Jesus Christ! Sorry, I wasn't expecting that. It's just like I got this from the New Orleans City Gym. I beat Rogue Sun.
That'd be sweet. Shit like that. Let's get an AR game going. Let's get Pokemon Go. But yeah, no.
Check out the pins. Right? Check out the pins. If you go to New York Comic Con, take pictures of the Massiveverse shit that happens. I heard there's a Massiveverse announcement that's being saved for that convention. So.
Oh, there's something. They always have something crazy. Even Brian's working on something cool too, which he pointed out in the interview. So like, I'm excited for the reveals alone. And are they on the show floor? Because like that's the coolest when they're on the show floor. You don't really have to wait. You're just around there. Like I met Kirkman at a booth like that. And you're like, holy shit, it's so cool. So
I don't
definitely.
Know, I know Michael's going. Like
nice.
Michael Basuto's going. Yeah, and like he usually
the legend.
It's a lot. Yeah, exactly. Michael the legend Basuto. It's a pretty like long trip to make. So I'm assuming if Michael's going, there's gonna be a Michael worthy announcement. I'm hoping.
Exactly.
Maybe more cards. Maybe a second expansion pack.
Ooh, another deck. Nice.
That would be amazing. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, see those posters behind Charlie right before we see those posters. One last shill for the road. There's really cool posters behind Charlie. You can actually buy those right now from the Black Market Narrative store. So if you've always wanted one of those posters like us and you've never been able to make the
shout out Chris.
Like
shout out Chris has his nice.
Yeah, Chris Valga from a friend of the podcast, community member, runs several shows that are really good. He just put like World's Finest True Believers is for an example. He just put his images, his posters up and framed them, really nice frames and everything. They look glorious. Yep. And I know a lot of you guys ask about them. So if you want them, go to the Black Market Narrative store. They're there. Get your posters.
Still up.
Yep. Show them off.
They'll send them right to you. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll see you next time. Stay radiant.